Ladies and gentlemen, WWE 2K24 drops next week, and I think it's time that we tell some truth. I think we've been pretty unfair to 2K in terms of the WWE games. Yeah, 2K15 was a weird start to the 2K era, and 2K20 was a flat-out abomination of a game. But 2K16 was massively underrated, 2K19 carried us for almost 4 years, 2K22 and 23 were a huge step in the right direction, and 24 looks like it's gonna be some heat. But if you ask me, the reason why we've probably been so unfair is that we're spoiled. Why? Because we came up playing the SmackDown vs. Raw game series. I hate to sound like your typical old head, but kids, you just had to be there. Year after year, banger game after banger game, the memories that these games brought us just hit different. This is when wrestling gaming peaked, in my opinion. You got people who don't even watch wrestling that got fond memories of these games right here. So let's go back in time and talk about the best series of games in WWE history and rank each one of these games from worst to best. I want to make this clear right now. All of these games are at worst decent games. It just so happens that some of these games are better than others. So while you're watching this and you're feeling like I didn't give SmackDown vs. Raw 08 enough credit, it just is what it is, bruh. And I'm not gonna lie to y'all, if you're a regular viewer of me, you know what number one is. Let's just keep it a stack. But for those of y'all that are new here, welcome in. Appreciate you being here. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. We have a lot of fun here. But enough chit chat. Let's get to the list. Honestly, I didn't know how many people really love this game right here until I did a blind ranking on TikTok, and I immediately put this game at the very bottom, and I caught some smoke in those comments, I'm not gonna lie. Again, I think it's a decent game, but it just didn't hit like the rest of them did. First things first, this is the first game where they took out GM mode, which was a huge blow to me, especially as a kid. But looking back, it made a lot of sense because the roster in this game was kind of mid. There were barely any legends in the game, probably because they were trying to get us to buy Legends of WrestleMania, which, no, bro. No. Side note, why was Masked Man a 92? They might as well have put me in the game and gave me a 93. The gameplay was a little slow for my liking, and when you went outside the ring, the camera angle was awful, dog. What the hell is this? But the positives here are really good. For one, this is the first game that had a road to WrestleMania, and they gave us so many options for stories. Shout out to the big homie Tony. And this game was the first one to introduce Creative Finisher. And I still had fun with this game. It's just that I would rather just play SVR 08 at the time. And looking back, I should have gave this game a whole lot more credit than I did because it set a lot of greatness in motion, so I'll say that. I got a whole lot of love for this game right here because this is the first wrestling game I ever played. But this is also the game that dropped right after Here Comes the Pain, which is very difficult to top, so I'll give them that. But a lot of this game just felt like a downgrade from that. Backstage was super limited compared to the year before. All you could really do was a parking lot brawl. The gameplay was mostly the same, so that's a W, but then they turned the camera angle from the ramp angle to the hard cam. Even the roster was the downgrade, but that's because some big names left the WWE during the time, so there's really nothing they could have done about that. But man, that soundtrack went stupid, bro. Just listen.
Firefly, could you shine your light? Now this is where the cycling worlds collide. Are you ready to go?
The season mode was something. Calm your little freaky asses down. There's kids playing this game, yo. This game is a lot of fun to go back to from time to time and play. And I really hate to say it, especially with the current timeline that we're in, but that cover is elite. This was a very solid template that the next couple games actually were built off of, so it gets extra points for that. This low-key might end up being my most controversial placement on this list. I've noticed that opinions on this game are just so different. For some people, I either put this way too low, or for others, I put it way too high. But I feel like I can honestly swap this one and the original SVR. They both had some things that kind of held them back. This one low-key felt like they were trying to fix a formula that wasn't broken. For example, the 24/7 mode in this game was ass, bro. I am still so tired of the same 2 cutscenes. Can we please get these freaky ass motherfuckers some help? How are you making the same mistake every week? This was also the last game with GM mode for almost 15 years, and I mean, it's pretty solid. It's GM mode at the end of the day, but the AI was just a different breed. This motherfucker was unbeatable, or was that just me? The gameplay was actually pretty fun, and it kind of carries the game. Every wrestler had their own styles, which would give them different movesets and power-ups, especially if you had a hardcore wrestler. They became way more extreme than WWE ECW ever did. The addition of ECW to the game really helped lift up the roster and all the match types. Wilding out with Sandman and an ECW Extreme Rules match just hits different, bro. But that damn 24/7 mode, man, that hurts this game a lot. Big ass weights, bro, damn. What's your routine? Also, please, if you ever go back and play this game, don't play it on the Wii. Don't. I damn near broke my neck trying to figure out how to do a fucking swanton bomb. This is the game I pretty much spent the most time on during this life cycle. Played it so much the damn disc snapped in half. And that's not even a joke. The disc actually broke on me. Sad times, man. Sad times. But for real, man, the memories that this game just brings back are special. The soundtrack, oh, the soundtrack. The roster was pretty good as well. Finally had some face paint on Jeff Hardy. Not many legends because they just wouldn't let this damn game die already. The road to WrestleMania was great. Another instance of THQ booking things that WWE would end up doing themselves. For example, Legacy split in almost the same way that they actually did in 2010. And also a Women's Rumble, which wouldn't actually happen for like 8 more years. Damn it, Vince. The gameplay is so much better than it was in 09. And also, this is the first game that they gave us community creations and also create a story. I'm not gonna lie, gang, I was the most uncreative buffoon you would ever meet. So having this option gave me a lot of endless content to just mess around with. This personally to me is my second favorite game on the list just because of the emotional attachment, but I can admit that there's some games on this list that are just on a whole nother level. Now we're officially reaching elite status right here. Every match type you could possibly want from a wrestling game was here, including Fulfill Your Fantasy, man. Good times. Definitely doesn't age horribly. The roster was pretty solid in this one. The season mode was iconic. Hey, yo, who ran over my OG Teddy Long, man? Also, again, I like how THQ booked RVD winning the WWE title and changing it to the ECW title before WWE pretty much copied and pasted the same story in 2006 itself. This right here was a perfect cover. Absolutely perfect. GM mode was introduced in this one, and if you can't tell already, I love GM mode. Was it the best version of it? Nah, we'll talk about that a little later. But it's still GM mode at the end of the day. The gameplay still had some of that SmackDown series speed with some simulation style added to it. And this was also the first game with title matches and exhibition as well as creator entrance, which I may have done some stupid things with. Don't ask questions. This game right here was great, man, but something about THQ is that they like to build, and they took this game and they built on it. Before we get there, let's talk about... Let me tell y'all something, man. Let me tell y'all a little story. Not right now. But for real, I actually refused to play this game as a kid. Listen, I already had 2010 and Jeff Hardy, who was my favorite wrestler of all time, by the way, wasn't going to be in the game. So I said, well, fuck that. And I just never played it for years until I saw a video on it a couple years ago. And I was like, well, I need it now. So I made it a mission. I am going to play SmackDown vs. Raw 2011. And I got a copy for the Wii. And bruh, it looked like this.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
So again, fuck that. But then I found this store that was about 30 minutes away from me that had a copy for the Xbox 360. And they were dead ass just selling it for like $6. And I was all in, but thing was, it was a damn blizzard outside. Typical Colorado. But because I was so damn bored and also I'm a bit of a dumbass, I got in my car, I drove what turned into 50 minutes just to go buy this game. And I'm not gonna lie, gang, if I had the chance to do it all over again and potentially make the right choice, I'm doing that again. Why? Because I'm a dumbass. Also because this game is a different breed of special. First off, that gameplay. It is a straight up circus in the best way possible. You could deadass do whatever you wanted to do. Weapon mechanics went crazy here. You would throw your opponent on a weapon and they would actually sell it, unlike now. Multi-man matches were just straight up wild. And I'm not gonna lie, the gameplay is the biggest reason why it's so high up on this list. But on top of that, we got the best road to WrestleMania up to this point. What other game would you see a heel Rey Mysterio or Kofi Kingston of all people breaking the streak? And for the first time since Here Comes the Pain, you had free roaming in the story mode, which was an underrated feature to me. If I knew nothing about wrestling and you told me this game dropped yesterday, I'd believe you. It holds up very, very, very well. Side note, come here. Back to me potentially being a dumbass. Am I really unable to do title matches in exhibition mode? Or am I really just that stupid? Help. Please. You knew this was coming, didn't you? In my opinion, not only the best SmackDown vs. Raw of all time, but the best WWE game of all time. And I know some people are gonna say Here Comes the Pain, and Grandpa already broke his hip trying to stand up and yell at me and say No Mercy. And listen, I love both those games. They're both in my top 5 of all time, but There's no changing my mind on this one, man. Where do I even start? I miss these kind of covers so much. This perfectly encapsulates this era, man. And the game itself was pretty much 2006, but perfected. Especially if you played this on Xbox 360 like I did. This was the first one that wasn't exclusive to PS2. Starting the game and being greeted by one of these two intros is a chef's kiss. And these graphics, especially considering when this game actually came out, are legit incredible. The gameplay is what happens if Here Comes the Pain and 2K19 get together and have a baby. Simulation gameplay plus absolute mayhem. Fighting in the crowd was introduced, which wasn't really fighting in the crowd, but no complaints here, it was still lit. Money in the Bank ladder matches were perfect if you had a lot of time on your hands because these matches legit do not end. Someone's always there to get you off a ladder. What the f? The challenge mode when you go into the locker room was mad fun, but still, to this day, I still have not been able to beat the Great Khali with Mickie James. I'm not gonna lie, gang, if y'all wanna see me rage, that might have to be its own video. In the GM mode, this is the best one. I wish so badly that 2K would legit copy and paste the template of this into their My GMs because this is actually perfection. By the way, I actually didn't earn GM of the year until about 2022. How? Say it with me. Because I'm a dumbass. The season mode legit felt endless, whether you were a babyface or a heel. The stories just kept on coming. The voice acting was really good here. We had some realistic stories, but as well as some wild shit going down. The roster was fantastic. Pretty much all of the big names from the Ruthless Aggression era were here. So many legends that I actually learned about because of this game. Before playing this, I didn't even know Taz was a wrestler. Legit, my bad. And don't think I forgot about that soundtrack.
No one will ever change the status of I have become. See you
Got the money in the bank.
Yeah.
Shout out what you drink.
I got a bullet with a name on it. Bullet with a name.
Only critique I have for this game is the fact that the Great Khali debuted here. Lord help us all. But actually, why isn't it made clear how I'm supposed to kick out? I assume you spam buttons, but let me get a prompt though. I lost way too many matches because of this. But this game is just timeless. It will never get old to me. Legit, the day I graduated high school, all I wanted to do when I got home was play this. That's it. That was my celebration. I also wasn't really allowed to go anywhere because, you know, quarantine. So there's that. But man, this just brings me back to a special time in my life. This right here is my happy place. And it's, in my opinion, the best SmackDown vs. Raw video game of all time. But that's my list. And listen, if you think my list was bad, that's okay. I respect your right to be wrong. But real talk, these are just my opinions and you're totally allowed to disagree. Now, I wouldn't even be upset if your ranking was different because, again, these are really good games. Again, 2K has done a better job than a lot of us have given them credit for. Because dropping a game as bad as 2K20 and coming back from that deserves its own award. And 2K24 looks very good and I'm looking forward to playing it. Probably more hyped for it than I was for 22 or 23. But these games that we just spent our time talking about, special. Just special. Listen, man, I hope you guys enjoyed that trip down memory lane. I know I did. I'm probably gonna go play one of these games right now, not gonna lie. Fulfill your fantasy? Sounds pretty fun right about now.
What did he say?
But now, real talk, drop your list in the comments down below. Let's have some discourse about this. Keep it respectful though. This is just opinions at the end of the day about wrestling games. And if you like this kind of content, let me know by hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Follow me on the socials as well, man. But that's it for this video. I'll see you on the next one. I'm out of here. I'm gone.